we have made it to episode 12 of the SBG podcast. Many weeks later after I had my baby, we had a little time in between, but we're back and we got Mr. Blake Deville here. Welcome to the show.
Yep, good. Long time coming. Finally riding the struggle bus.
Hell yeah. I'm glad to have you. And so a little backstory. Me and Blake went to like middle school, I think.
Middle school, yeah.
And then high school.
Yeah, sixth grade and up.
Yeah. And so in high school, you got your license first, and then you would come to my house in Karen Crow.
Yep.
And pretty much introduced me to Tool. So I do have to thank you for that.
That was all I played back then, dude.
It was great. I was like, every morning, I'd be like groggy just waking up, and this man would be blasting, was it 10,000 Days, or which one was it with?
Depends on the,
Vicarious was on that.
Depends on the time of year, because I go through seasons.
Oh, yeah?
So I'll do some albums, some bands, fall, springtime, just whenever I think it's usually like whenever they came out, or like whenever I like first heard like that album, I associate with that time frame. So if it's like fall time, it's like Opiate, a little bit of like Salival, like that weird recorded concert they had. Then like springtime, it's more like Anima, 10,000 Days, that kind of stuff.
Must have been springtime then. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started driving, because I turned 16, and I could.
That's pretty great. I totally relate with the seasonal thing, because typo negative, man, for me that's like a fall. I totally feel that when it starts getting cool. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just hearing it.
Yeah, they dropped a new album a couple years ago.
Yeah, the Numa. Was that the name of it? Or I can't remember the name of it, but that's
Numa's one of the songs on it.
Yeah.
What was it? I can't even remember. Like it was just like a flash in the pan.
Mm-hmm.
Hate to say I waited literally half my life for it. It was not worth the wait. couple good tracks, but it was all filler, man.
Yeah.
You tell her just like, we're obligated to do this. Just put out another album.
Had you ever seen them live?
Once.
Where was it?
Back when I lived in San Antonio, so I caught a Pussifer show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know about Pussifer. I caught a Pussifer show at this nice little orchestra kind of building, like on the edge of like the Riverwalk. Because I used to literally work in the building right next to it. So like I just like parked at work and just like went straight to the concert.
Oh, that's sick.
I went there, and then they played like a month later. Tool came around and played at the AT&T stadium on the other side of San Antonio. I was in my one of my morning meetings. It was a Monday, because it was like a retrospective, and I was like on my little shitty work laptop that we had an issue at the time. Like the gold image would like freeze every now and then. So I was like, I'm trying to buy tickets in the middle of a meeting, and they're going like, they had all the automated bots buying,
Oh yeah, as fast as they can.
Literally, as soon as it opened, I got nosebleeds. That was like the best I can do. Within like a minute, like sold out.
Hell yeah!
So I went to that show. It was a cool show. It's not a show you go see sober. No pun intended. Like you need to be on some psychedelics. So it wasn't that fun. It was just way up in the nosebleeds.
Oh yeah.
And they were just messing around on stage. It was like, yeah, we just got to do a tour. It wasn't. But the Pussifer show was like 10 times better.
So whenever I was
like front row in the pit, sitting down. They had seats and everything.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah. Whenever I saw them the first time, it was the best time to see them. Like as far as like venue. It was in New Orleans, and they were in the New Orleans Arena.
Oh, yeah, I remember that show.
Versus the second time I saw them was at Voodoo Fest.
I know some people went to that.
Yeah, and so I think it was literally just about the production. Like they were able to like, set things up to how they would normally do it when they have like an enclosed venue. So the sound was just better, and like the optics were better in the arena. And they played with Primus, opened up for them.
They've been open up for them for years, and that got me into Primus. Like
really,
I had heard Primus before, but then like I was like, oh, this music's kind of good. So like I went and checked them out. So like I started listening to a little bit of Primus after that. Les Claypool on the bass.
So the earlier era, is that like your favorite era? Because I never even listened to the later era of them, like the later albums. I only listened to like
Tool?
What is it, Pork Soda? No,
no,
Primus.
So I don't know much about Primus. I just know a couple weird music videos they got.
My name is Mud.
My name is Mud. Yeah. Jerry's a race car driver.
Yeah, that's like the classics.
It's fun, like silly music.
So good. And then they did that one. I think Jerry was a race car driver. Was the one on what Tony Hawk Pro Skater for freaking N64. So I was like jamming that even before I knew what the hell that was. By the time I heard it,
like it was one of the things where like I'd heard before, but like didn't really get into them till I actually got to see them live.
Yeah. So whenever they played at the New Orleans Arena, I was watching them, and literally, I mean, I was like sober, and we were hanging out, and the drummer for that band is like fantastic, and he just went into like a melody with the bass player, and they had it was like a visualizer of like the Southbound Pachyderm. It was like a psychedelic elephant on the visualizer, and it was like completely zoned out listening to that. It was crazy. I was like, man, this is a little religious experience everybody's having it together.
Especially like the Tool part, it's kind of, people call it a religious experience. But, I mean, if you're on like mushrooms, yeah, probably. I mean, it was still a good show, but it was just, I was at this point, I was like, I came all the way here just to like sit in the nosebleeds. He was changing the lyrics, just messing around on stage.
Damn.
Everybody else was playing like great though, like Adam Jones, like Danny Carey, and Justin Jones. I think Justin. Is that his name? Justin Jones, the bass.
I don't even.
Like it sounded good. So like they do their songs differently live. They'll like over like past 20, 30 years they'll change up the songs a little bit and add bridges to it and all kinds of stuff. And they started re-releasing like some of those like not studio, but like the changes that they started playing live, they started releasing them as like little studio like singles.
Yeah, that's pretty tight.
Like they re-released Opiate. And I'm hoping they do for a few other songs too. But
nice.
Yeah, I don't listen to them as much anymore.
Yeah, I try to diversify my music.
The past like 10, 15 years kind of. Especially like we got Spotify, you got Pandora, like it like introduces Shazam. Like if I'm somewhere, like I'm always Shazamming.
That's how I found out about Barbarian Fist. Whenever I was just on the stoner metal, I let it shuffle, and it was like this one random band has like one album they ever made, and it's like 5 songs, and it is the grungiest.
Is it more grunge or is it like stoner metal?
It's stoner metal. It sounds like put this picture in your mind. You're like 18 and you walk into the Wild Salmon and it's this dive bar and every corner of it has filth and Marlboro Red smoke in the air.
Grime, layer grime on the floor.
And there's this dirty rock and roll playing that you can't really
some old
understand.
Drunk dude can't stand up straight.
Oh yeah, and it smells like Jim Beam white label in there. That's exactly what that sounds like. Yeah, it's great.
Man, I was only there like a handful of times. I went with you guys like once or twice. Yeah, me, you, Corville, like those guys.
Yeah.
And then I went once or twice after that, just to like I saw Dax Riggs there once.
What?
Yeah, like.
Oh man, I bet that was sick.
No, it was like probably the worst show I've ever been to. I don't want to like name drop and like badmouth like good musicians. But, like, it was kind of like one of those things where like he came in, like everybody was like, riding him like real hard, like, oh hey, Dax Riggs is here. I mean, he was cool, like just hanging out like before, but then like they spent like a good 10 minutes doing a sound check, which I don't know how it's supposed to last, but like it cut into the show, and then like he did like 1 or 2 songs, and then like I looked up and like they were gone. Oh, he was just like doing that just to. Dang. It's like, oh, I'm passing through Lafayette. Like,
how many people were there? Because
it was packed.
I was about to say, yeah, shit, that's crazy.
And that was the other thing, you couldn't even see them like because it was so packed. But like the sound, he was like stopping like songs to like redo sound checks. It was, but they tried to buy drugs off of us after. Like I wasn't even selling drugs. Like we were outside. You remember Savannah? Savannah and I were outside.
Yeah.
Like smoking a cigarette or something. Well, no, somebody left a weird note in my car. That was the whole thing. So we're trying to figure out who left this weird note, and like him and his entourage came out, and he's like, "You guys got any drugs?" Like he talks, and
any kind will do.
Yeah, like I'm like, no man, we're good. And then like him and a groupie hopped in a van and left. That was like the highlight of that show.
It could be Advil, could be acid.
Yeah,
I'll take whatever you got.
Allergy meds. Some OTC allergy meds.
Well, let's dig into where. So we split off from high school, right?
Yep.
You went to UL, right?
Yeah, for a little bit.
And so then from there, did you stay at UL, or did you end up moving out of state whenever you were in UL?
No, I moved to Arizona for a year, came back, kind of putzed around UL for a bit, and then I got I didn't get a job offer. I applied for a job. Well, I had a couple job offers in Colorado, and I'm like, you know what, I may just move, you know, and because the salary was pretty good. It was, you know, cross country. You were like, oh yeah, you're just gonna be skiing all day.
And then what year was this? This was like 2017 or something?
No, this was 13, 14.
Ah, okay.
Roughly, yeah.
So that it wasn't like the cost of living there hadn't like skyrocketed.
No,
yet.
this is before it kind of blew up. This was before I think Google wasn't even there yet, and it was before because I knew a lot of people in Lafayette moved over there, mostly Google. No, there was a contract out there I was going to jump on, and then that kind of fell through. Kind of like botched the interview. I think I was late to the interview. I don't know on the phone, and
it happens.
There's a Facebook group I was in. They pass around like job postings if they got something they want to fill. Oh, excuse me, you have to edit that out. And I got home at I think I went to the booth that night and came back, and I was like, oh yeah, it was like a C#.net development gig. So I was like, oh yeah, I could do this. So I just sent it, and I didn't get hired with his company, but they had like 2 or 3 on that same contract. So he just handed my resume to the next guy. He's like, hey, hire that dude. So that's when I moved back to Arizona for 9, and it was a contract gig. So he's like, yeah, you might not have a job in by February or because this was October. So I stayed there for 9 months, and then it was kind of a remote area.
In Colorado or Arizona?
This is Arizona, yeah. Work was the work itself was kind of meh. There was a lot of old retirees with a second job, second income. Not many of them were strong developers. It was more of a scripting kind of thing. And then a new company came in, took over the contract. Everybody took cuts, and one of the other guys, he was also a .NET guy. He's like, hey, dude, let's go to San Antonio. Because he was like, oh yeah, I used to live in San Antonio, small stomping grounds. Let's go over there. So I followed him over there, and I was there for 3-4 years roughly.
Nice.
Loved it out there. San Antonio is one of my favorite cities.
Really?
I worked on the Riverwalk.
Damn, that's tight.
I went out every night. I got in all kinds of trouble, but that was where I got this. It was a bigger population city. There's more there.
Yeah, that's cool.
They had an interesting music scene. There was a lot of rock and metal out there, but more of a Tejano kind of twist to it. Food was amazing. I got so fat in San Antonio, but yeah, I worked on the Riverwalk, so I would go go out, go get dinner, go catch a show, the smaller venues at oh, there's a line outside there. Let's go see what it is, and it's a bunch of high school garage bands and poetry slams and celebrities doing comedians coming through, that kind of thing. So I would just randomly catch shows like that all the time out there.
Man, that's badass. I can't even imagine because
I met Creed Bratton.
Who's that?
From The Office.
I'm not familiar. I mean,
the
probably
old weird dude.
I don't really watch too much of The Office.
Well, there's a picture of us on Facebook.
Is it? Yeah. If you send it to me, I'll post it.
Yeah, I'll send
and
it
then
to
I'll
you.
Probably know who he's talking about. Probably everybody who's watching this right now
if you've seen The
will
Office.
probably grill me in the comments for not knowing who that person is.
But yeah, that was one of. I didn't even know he was there. I was just oh, there's a line here. I'm just gonna get in it and see what's here.
Oh man,
and I
that's
was
tight.
oh, Creed Bratton's here. So I snuck into the meet and greet after because I couldn't because the tickets were sold out. So I just walked right. The wristbands were a similar color to the VIP one. So I just walked right back.
That's great.
Social engineering my way in there.
Yeah, and then because all the good metal shows, even what is it, Rammstein played somewhere around San Antonio for here.
I'm surprised they play in the U.S. with all the crazy shit they do. I don't even think that's legal.
And it was
probably not OSHA compliant.
Yeah, bucket list item, and I ended up not going for that. But man, I'm sure that it was fantastic. I had a couple coworkers go to that. They said it was fantastic. But yeah, all of the good metal shows are in that area.
Yeah.
So for here, it's 6-hour drive, but if you live right 6
there,
or
7, yeah,
that's fantastic.
And then you're 3 hours to Houston, so I almost caught a show. My girlfriend and I almost went to a Deftones show in Houston, so I was oh yeah, it's enough to where I can go there, go to the show, come back, and kind of straggle into work the next morning.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's that's on my short list if I want to move out of where I am now.
So then you're heavy in the tech and the coding sector. Then is that correct?
A good little bit. So I bounced around like contract to contract. They're all doing different things, different types of applications, different tech stacks. So you kind of have to like jump from one to the other, kind of like relearn stuff that you hadn't done in a couple of years, and or sometimes like hadn't done it all. It's like, okay, you got to learn Docker, you got to learn this stack of Python or like this different language, Golang or whatever.
Yeah.
I've been doing the full stack stuff past few years.
Nice. I've never dabbled in any of that realm, really. I mostly stick to like C# and only in the game development space.
That's what we did. We were a .NET shop when I was on my team in San Antonio. A lot of C# .NET. We were still doing the desktop app thing, like WinForms, XAML. Whatever the WPF, like whatever the replacement for that was. Mm-hmm. Did a little bit of that. Then we started kind of like branching out to like the web app kind of thing. This was like 2017.
So what were y'all like doing? Y'all like designing web pages, or like what was the actual?
Just whatever clients needed. They're like, oh, we need a tool to do this, or
okay,
whatever stuff they had going on.
See, that seems pretty cool because in my line of work, we do a lot of SCADA analytics and data handling. So then if there's a need for something that's not there, it presents a cool challenge. I don't like that. It's like, oh man, this hasn't been thought of yet. We get to actually like build the thing to do this. That's great. Yeah, so I dig that a lot.
I did some low level stuff for a while. I did like some C and assembly. Got to do a project with that. That was probably one of the fun ones, because it's just like it's closer to the metal. You got to do a lot of stuff yourself. You don't have like libraries to help you out. Especially like some of like more embedded stuff. It's like, you got to you don't have the C standard library available. You got to like find like a stripped down version of it, because a lot of stuff like we were doing was like we had space constraints, like size constraints, so we had to use like some minimized like C library replacements, or sometimes like we had to write our own. It's like, we need to rewrite printf. like the stuff that you're like, I always have that.
You take for granted.
Yeah, that you take a lot of stuff you take for granted. You have to like learn how to do yourself.
Damn, that's crazy. So that's the kind that you have to like compile and then see if you have any errors. Is like what we did in like UL type shit. Where you're,
the C. Well, not even C++, like just like old C. Like, well, some of they have modern updates to it, like C11, C14, like the language standard.
It's like the Dark Souls of freaking programming there.
Yep.
You must sharpen your weapon or it won't hit at all. Everything is manual.
Yeah, it's like the difference between driving an automatic and a manual sometimes.
That's great.
And then did some project management for a while and wanted to get back on keyboard. So like my next thing I went to, that's where I am now, past 5 years, we were doing like full stack, like web apps.
Nice. Did you ever find that in your keyboard time that you started developing carpal tunnel? Because I feel like I started
a little bit. Like you see, like that's been going on past few years.
It's a symptom.
I'm gonna claim disability for it eventually. It's a work related.
My symptoms I started noticing more were my hands would like fall asleep whenever I would sleep on my side. Like I would just
do that
notice.
Too, yeah.
I would notice that it would,
I'll have like half my, like if I lay on it funny, like half my hands asleep. So like I like lacerated the shit out of this finger. So I don't know if it's related to that or that was a CC's injury.
Damn, the pizza cutter.
No, the coffee. The coffee. That was like where I worked at, like before I took that first like big boy job. Just dropped a mug. It hit the little sanitizer. Like it's like, oh, it's fine. And then
it crushed in your hand.
It was just enough to crack.
Oh my god. Yeah. Ceramics are an interesting thing for sure. I have a funny story about that. I'll tell right quick. I had a back in the day whenever I was working with my dad. My little brother Andy, who was like my first interviewee on here.
Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah,
he was working for my dad as well during that time, and I was trying to teach him stuff. We were hanging, working in the same office, and I had this big coffee mug, and I was like holding it. And me and my little brother to get squirrely and just fuck off every now and then, you know? And so I was like, man, it would be great to just smoke somebody in the dome with a coffee mug. Like, it's got the perfect, like, equilibrium with this handle. And I was, like, swinging that bitch like this. And I didn't know, you know, ceramics, how the material handled. Apparently, it didn't handle well under being, like, pulled. So whenever I did like this real hard, you know, the momentum of it pulled the damn handle off of the coffee mug, and that thing, it was heavy. It like smoked the wall right next to his head and like made a little imprint in the wall. It's like, damn, that thing could have for sure done exactly what I was talking about. But yeah, a little tangent there, just backstory.
There's gonna be a lot of. I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of those.
But yeah, so the carpal tunnel thing, if you ever do find that you're experiencing it more, I'm sure you've already probably investigated it, but that mouse right there, I can post a picture of it so people
Is
can
that the one with the ball on the side?
Yeah, it's like the one where it's like a vertical. Yeah, I found that does help a bit.
We got one at work, and I tried it. I'm like, I don't know, like.
I think it like diverts the carpal tunnel into a different position though, because it's
kicks
like
the can.
Yeah, now it's like now this is starting to feel kind of weird versus like this part. Well, that's great. So, where are you living at these days? Are you still living out of state?
I'm like an hour out. I'm like an hour outside of Raleigh.
Raleigh. Oh, nice, man. North Carolina's pretty cool.
It's I mean, I live in a little sketchy area, but like very sketchy. But
excellent.
I'm 2 hours from the beach. I'm like 3-4 hours from the mountains, like the real mountains. I mean, there's like a lot of hills and mountains like where I am, but like further out there towards Asheville and all that, it's like
the Appalachian Mountains, Smoky Mountains.
That's like one of my goals. Like while I'm still there, it's I kind of want to like hike part of it. Like not, I can't do the whole thing, but
see that area is super tight because it's like nice and green and it's not too dry.
A lot like here. It's very similar to here. Like as far as like the humidity, the temperature. I mean, it's a little cooler, but it's very similar to here. So like. Parts of like the outsides, like where I live between towns, it's like being in North Louisiana. You got all the pine trees, and you have those little mom and pop gas stations, and you got everybody's got that little twang. So it's like living in like South Arkansas.
That's badass. Are there a shitload of bugs there that want to eat you alive?
Not as bad as here.
No.
Like I mean, there's mosquitoes and all that, but it's not as bad as here. Like I can go in the water most places and be okay.
Nice. Look over here, it gets ignorant, and like specifically where we're at right now, like this property, like I was telling Abby, I was like, man, you know, before all this got like infrastructure to it, it was like swamp area, right? You know, there's crawfish fields here for a reason. So then like all of this area holds water and is super conducive for mosquito activity, and mosquitoes are like the antibodies of the woods. And yeah, just trying to like hunt out here before it gets freaking super cold and dries them all off. I pretty much would have to put on my bee suit, I think, this next go around if it's like warm, because they like
not even for the bees.
Yeah, literally just for the mosquitoes. It's unbelievable. That's crazy. Well, that's tight, man. Raleigh. Yeah, I eventually it would be cool to do some traveling. I would like to see more of the U.S. We had planned on like making a trip where we go towards like maybe Flagstaff, or trying to get to like Utah.
That area is nice, yeah.
Yeah, Garden of the Gods. No, not Garden of the Gods. What is it? It starts with a Z. It's in Sedona, Utah.
Oh no, Utah. Oh, okay.
Zion. The national park.
Yeah.
Abby really wants to go there. I have a buddy at work that said it's fantastic.
Utah is nice. I mean, there's like the mountains are like snow capped like most of the year.
Yeah, super tight. Well, we could talk about a little bit of cooking. I know you're you were cooking. You said you were cooking some stuff before over here.
Some nachos before I got here.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
There's not a lot that I can cook in like bulk, but I do like gumbos and jambalayas. That's like if I know if I'm planning out like a month's worth of a couple weeks worth of meals.
Hell yeah, jambalaya. That's something I haven't really hit in a while. I do like to cook gumbo.
I made a gumbo a couple months ago. Like when it was still like kind of like wintertime, like coming off of that, like February. Yeah, it's January. I think it's January when I made it.
Have you ever had any issues cooking a jambalaya? Because I know, like how do you cook your jambalaya, first of all? Because there's different ways to
Mine
do
is
it.
basic. Like,
And for those watching that don't know what a jambalaya is, it's like, depending on your style, you cook your meat first sometimes, and then you put the rice in there uncooked, and then as it cooks, it will soak up all that gravy. And then you have like meat and rice mixture, but some people cook the rice beforehand.
I do it separate, and I just dump it in there.
Yeah. So I've had complications of doing it where you cook the rice in the gravy, and man, it came out real shit.
You just like dumped it in, raw dog it. And,
Yeah.
I haven't tried that because I've had that. I've done it that way before, and I've had that happen.
Yeah, because it's like, depending on the volume of the pot and how much you're cooking, it's hard to like keep that bottom scraped off like it needs to be in the thickness of the pot, and so then it'll end up burning, and you have it's over once it starts burning. I had that happen. I was like looking at the pot like prior to this event. I had cooked it that way, and I was like, oh, it's gonna, it turned out great. So then I was like, I had full confidence in this thing, even though I was like at somebody else's house cooking for like a party, and I was like, I got this shit. We're gonna do a jambalaya, and it was like a thin pot. And it was for a lot of people, so it was a big volume, and man, that shit started burning, and I was like, man, the bubbles coming off of this, the top of this stuff looked pretty opaque. Why? Why is this? And they were full of smoke. They weren't full of steam.
Oh, wow.
So it was bubbling up smoke from the bottom, yeah. But everybody was too drunk to, know the difference, so they still enjoyed it, so I had that going for me. So you cook the rice before you throw it in there?
Yeah, I cook it before. I think I have done it that way, and I don't think it came out that well. Because I think that when I did it that way, I wasn't even using like a Magnolite pot. I was using like one of those like deep skillets.
Yeah.
I tried it with that, and like I think I was just impatient. I could have waited like a little longer, put a little bit more water, waited a little bit longer. It'd have been fine, but I was like in a rush to eat. It's like it's getting late. I always start cooking like real late, like way too late. So I was like, I just take this off. And
I feel that.
Like I'm eating it, it's like okay, it's fine. Then you get like those crunchy, the
yep.
crunch rice. It's not hard, but it's like it's a little crunchy. It's like undercooked.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Man, that is the most critical ingredient in cooking is time.
Yeah,
it's crazy. That's the part that I always end up messing up on the most. That's why
I'm just too impatient.
Yeah, when I cook, usually I drink so that I'm more patient because I'm drinking and I don't want to lose my buzz, so I don't want to finish it too quick. I don't want to, eat too soon and lose the buzz. So then it's like a feedback loop,
I made a jambalaya recently. I made a gumbo January, and I think I made a jambalaya like once or twice after that.
Hell yeah! How do you do your gumbos?
Basic, like very simple. Like so the first time I made it, I was like in North Carolina. I was like in this little kind of like dorm, and I had like 2 burners, and I had I brought my Magnolite pot, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a gumbo. And it was like the first time I did it. I did that Cajun Ninja dude, that video that like was going around the time. Like it was like right before COVID.
Does he have the utility belt?
He's got he's got a whole bunch of stuff now. He's
got like a blonde wig, I think. Is that same?
No,
dude?
not that guy. No, this is the he like teaches karate at like some dojo, and like that was like his shtick. He calls himself Cajun Ninja, but he had the like these like simple tutorial videos on like making jambalaya, nice. Gumbo, and he would come out with like an advanced one for doing like a little fancier. But the simple one, I use that one
when he elevates his dish.
Yeah, like he'll do one where he just uses rotisserie chicken, then he does another where he like does the raw chicken, cuts it up, does the whole spiel with that. But yeah, I used that one. It came out pretty good. I had to put a good bit of kitchen bouquet in there just to because it's coming out kind of pale. I wasn't patient enough to let that get dark.
Man, recently I've been experimenting with red beans and rice, which I am interested.
I did that one recently too.
Yeah, it's like I don't know why I hadn't cooked that in a long time, and it's different whenever you use like the dried beans because then they end up soaking up and cooking with all the stuff. But I used that smoked sausage from Rod's down the street, which is pretty unique. And then I have my own fresh sausage that I made, and So I have those two in there, but then I put like a scoop of roux in there, and it actually came out pretty good. You know, not too bad. It gives it like that hearty flavor, thickens it up a little bit. It's definitely not bad. So if you're out there and you have never tried that, put a little spoon of roux in there.
Because I got a couple jars, but because usually when I do gumbos, I don't use the jar roux. I try to make it from scratch.
Oh.
Yeah. I've had it. For me, it's easier. I don't know why. Like I had trouble doing the jar.
Really?
Because I didn't know like what do I do with this after it's already done? Like do I just keep cooking it like I do a normal roux, or I had no idea what I was doing with the jar.
This man is a purist.
that was the only way I learned how to do it.
Damn.
Because his video, he teaches you how to do the roux from scratch.
That's awesome. Old mama would be proud. My mom also does. Well, I don't know if she does it anymore. She used to, but I've never tried to make it from scratch.
It's not that hard. You gotta
keep stirring it, otherwise it burns.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, roux is flour. I might have talked about this. Roux is like flour on the burner that you just keep stirring.
Flour and oil.
So that doesn't burn. Gets it dark. Makes a real nice consistency and flavor in a gumbo or any other thing.
I usually do it until it gets pretty dark, and you can kind of smell like that nutty flavor from the flour. And
that's awesome. I do like a good dark roux gumbo.
And then it breaks up and it gets pale, and I gotta dump the Cajun cheat code in there. And but I put less onion. People are gonna crucify me for this. I put less onion. Half the time I forget the celery.
I don't know if I ever put celery in there.
I do sometimes. If I remember to get it, I'll put it. But usually I just put mostly just green bell pepper.
You ever do bone broth in there, or like stock?
That's usually what I do. Like I'll put like a lot of chicken stock in it. Sometimes I don't cut it. Like I just forget to put the water in it. And
my little brother had come over, and that chicken stock with the bone marrow in there, he had dumped a whole thing in there, and that makes such a difference. Like if you ever try, make sure you get the kind with the bone marrow, or if you want to do it the most efficient way, you could just buy the chicken breast that's still got the rib cage and the bone and all that stuff on there, and then just boil all the bones before, and then you dump all the meat in that.
So one of his advanced gumbo, he does that. He makes the stock for the gumbo like that.
It's crazy how much of a difference it makes. It's like you wouldn't think.
But I haven't tried it yet. I don't know if I have the time for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those almost half a day of preparation.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. I have if you ever start dabbling more in the cooking, I would suggest getting a smoker too, like an electric smoker. Because then you can start making tassos or smoking your own sausage on the spot if you want to throw it in there, and that is not too bad.
It's like an indoor smoker?
No, you can get a
for those of us in apartments and condos.
Yeah, it's pretty small though. You probably have to chain it to your if you wanted to secure it or keep it inside or whatever. But it's about the size of a mini fridge, and it's super efficient, right? You just take a little handful of pellets, throw it in there, and then you can dial in the time and the the heat and everything. And man, for how much tasso, right? You tasso in your gumbo. Buy a little pack of tasso, and it's $5.
I haven't done that, but I know some people do.
And it's $5 for a little pack of that. Or you could get, if you get on a sale, you can get a freaking whole thing of pork chops for $5.
Yeah,
and then smoke that whole bitch, and you got 10 times the tasso or whatever, hickory smoked with apple wood and all that. Not bad. So, you been playing any video games lately, my man?
I go through little spouts. So, I don't play anything for 6 months, and then I'm too busy, and then I was I'll take some something comes out. I play a lot of old stuff. I don't play much of it. But so I've been playing Call of Duty with Garrett and Marsh.
Really?
Every weekend, that's our thing. We get on, and I'm usually up later because I'm an hour ahead of those guys. But I think I saw him on Twitch one time. He posted on Facebook. He was streaming Call of Duty on Twitch. Nice. So I went in just to talk shit to him, and then he's like, "Hey, come play with me and Garrett." I'm like, "All right." I went and bought Call of Duty. So that's what we do every weekend.
Is it the Warzone one?
No, we did that once or twice. I hate Warzone.
Right, the battle royale.
I can't stand it.
I don't really like it either. It's I am not.
I don't have enough. Like I'm like not ADD enough for that. Like,
Yeah, it's like you can't dedicate enough time to get good at it, and
and
then
there's like shit going on. Like
you die. You know, and you have to
you gotta
wait.
go collect stuff. And
Yeah.
you got 12-year-olds cursing you out. And I like that. Like all those battle royale games, like Apex, Fortnite. Like I couldn't get into that.
Same. Yeah, it's fun for a little bit.
We
but
play
it's
like we play like hardcore, like just a few matches till like 2 a.m. and kind of call it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't played any kind of first person shooters in a while, but I think the last one might have been like Destiny or something like that, which I got. The first one I got super hooked. Second one was pretty decent, but I think by the second one I just had like more life events happening, so I couldn't dedicate as much time. But yeah, I totally feel that. Like, I don't know, recently, and it might be similar for you as well, but it's like in my mind I'm like, man, everything's costing more these days.
It's like $70 for a new game, and it's like,
or in general, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
life costs. So then I'm trying to like educate myself or like find any kind of like side hustles that you can make dough and do all this stuff, so if I'm not like, it's hard for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna play this game for like this many hours.
time save, like,
Yeah, and then in my
costs time,
mind, and all the while I'm playing it, I'm like, man, I could be like developing a skill or like working to do something else, and then it's like constantly flip flopping in my head. I have like to force myself to like enjoy a game these days. Is it like a similar thing with you?
I guess. I mean, I haven't done the game development stuff in years. But I guess it's kind of like if you're already like behind the scenes, it's like how everything works. It's like it's not fun to play it.
Yeah, that too. It's like, oh my god, I'm grinding this level, and I know that all it would take is like the developer to tweak this little coefficient, and I could I wouldn't be sitting here for like 3 hours. I'd be sitting here for like 10 minutes doing this thing. Yeah, that plays into it too. Yeah, or the feeling of like I'm playing this guy's game for weeks at a time, and while I'm like
indie games or
like
other indie games.
And that's part of it too, right? Like I genuinely do enjoy playing games. I like exploring new ones. I like going back to the old faithfuls. Like I've been playing Path of Exile. My buddy at work, Eric, got me. He lets me know whenever the seasons are about to pop again. So then I
That's
usually
another thing. Games have seasons now.
Yeah. So then I'll get on Path of Exile for like a weekend or a week, and then I'll blast that for a while. And I enjoy it. Path of Exile a lot. Have you ever played that one?
Mm-mm.
Did you ever get into Diablo 2?
I didn't get into it while you guys were playing it because like we only had my mom wouldn't let me buy it.
Right.
She's probably gonna see this because she knows I'm here. Like, yeah, I wasn't allowed to buy Diablo 2 because it had all kinds of like demons on it.
Thanks, Mom.
And it looked very graphic.
My mom was the same way. Yeah, I had to play it on my dad's.
I had to sneak it from. We had that one copy that was floating around, and somebody had the play disc. Like I had the install disc. Somebody else had the play disc, and we had the same CD key, so you couldn't be on at the same time.
Online.
And then the one time I got a hold of it, I played it for like maybe like a night, and then like somebody was like, "Hey, I need the disc," and like I gave back. I never saw it. Like I played once.
Yeah. Well, the concept is similar. I mean, you didn't dive into it as much, but it's like the spiritual successor to Diablo 2.
Oh yeah.
It's as if they would have never stopped development on there and never strayed away from that model. It's completely different from like D3 and D4.
Yeah, I still haven't even played those. Like, I never got. I've been meaning to get back. I was like, let me go try it out because I know they have like the remastered one, and when Diablo 4 came out last year, yeah, I know one of my buddies had it. Yeah, I didn't catch it early enough to like really be into it.
Yeah, it's fun. I find it's just different, right? There's like the economy in Diablo 2 was half the reason that I played it, because you're like, yeah, you're honing your build and your character and all that stuff, but you're also like finding a shitload of good items, and that's part of like developing your characters, being able to like trade up to getting to what the gear you need. Very like gear driven.
Oh yeah.
And that's how Path of Exile is, and the cap, like the ceiling, is like very high, right? So then you can craft gear So then if you have the knowledge of being able to craft the gear, then you can like make some ignorant gear, and it's like super expensive, and like the bosses are like very difficult, and then there's like uber versions of those bosses, so then it's like, you know, Korean mode level difficult, you know.
So is it close to Diablo, or is it like more like Dota? I know like you were like big into Dota like back in the day.
No, so Dota, that's like, you know, you play one match and that's over. This one's like you're progressing the character all the way up. But I did play this shit out of some Dota back in the day.
I remember y'all were big. I couldn't get into it. I'm like, what is going on here?
Me and Anton were in that freaking...
just Anton with his sunglasses, smoking cigarettes inside. Like,
at Cyberland, bro.
Cyberland, man. I drove past there. There's something else there. It's not... I forgot what's there because I was looking for like some dress stuff. I was looking for Brothers on the Boulevard, and that's been gone. Like everything's gone that I remember. So I was in that little shopping center there. I was like, I remember like hanging out, Cyberland, like drinking those Balls energy drinks. And we would drink cigarettes in the alley.
Yeah, we'd drink that shit, and we'd get those damn Philly blunts, the freaking $1 cigars or whatever, the watermelon flavor, and all that shit. And then so we'd smoke those things in the back. And then they had Vault back in the day, which was like that
Vault.
Energy drink soda.
Well, they had that was the only place you could find Balls energy drinks. Like Target sold them for a little bit, but you used to have to order those online.
Yes,
and you could buy them at Cyberland. Like, so I went through so many of those at Cyberland. And Monster wasn't.
It was just starting to come
up.
Like
it was still like the kind of like nerdy energy drink. It wasn't like motocross, like, you know, douched up like it is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just remember like after smoking those little cigars, those energy drinks would taste like so much better. We just like blast freaking Dota. Yeah, good times. We ended up winning a tournament at Cyberland against Vivek and Charles, and they if they end up watching this, they'll remember that. Yeah, I remember exactly how that went, and I was like, man, this is like the first tournament I'd ever won, and we split like $100. It's
just like a little local thing, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, super tight though.
We did a Halo one like the year before. It was when Halo 2 came out. We had some church. It was some church in Scott. We all like piled in. Like, I think my mom drove us there.
Yeah.
And like it was like that split screen. Like everybody was like on like 4 people to a TV. Like a little tournament they had. And I think Dylan almost won. Dylan came in like second place or something. Garrett or Dylan, one of those guys.
Damn, I'd believe it. They were freaking on top of that. That brought back like a core memory. I remember whenever you like. I remember whenever you first brought over your Xbox, the first Xbox.
I was like the only one who had it. Like everybody else played PlayStation. I was the only kid who like, because my cousins had one. And I was like, oh, this, like they had Halo. I was like, oh, dude, I'm hooked on this game.
Yeah, and you were like, yeah, check this game out, Halo, and like that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. I was like, my god, it's so good. Classic.
I still play the like the MCC, but I still play like the old Halo one. Multiplayer maps, or they had the custom edition. You needed the PC version to play it, and they had all kinds of mods and maps and all kinds of stuff. Like you couldn't like they would like extract stuff from the game files, or they would import stuff from like some of the newer games and like kind of like put different skins and like different maps and stuff like that. Yeah. I played the shit out of that for like years.
It's awesome. Yeah, those classic maps are just so good. If you like knew, everybody knew them so well, so you could like post up and be able to snipe people across the map. Yeah, with the pistol and shit.
The Magnum pistol with a scope on it.
So good. Yeah,
it was a different era. I'm glad I grew up at that tail end of that, not playing Fortnite and Skippity Riz, Ohio toilet, whatever the kids are saying now, busting on cap.
Skibbity dip.
I don't get new games.
Yeah, I think Diablo 4 was probably the newest game that I'd played. No, actually, I take that back. I played a fair amount of Balatro. Have you ever heard of that game? Do you like card games? Like not Magic type card games. I was not
like, big into card games.
Like poker type games.
Oh no, yeah, I definitely never played that.
So this is like a combination of a roguelike deck builder genre.
So is that kind of like in line with what you're working on now?
Yeah, similar. It's the roguelike and the deck builder part of it, to where you're like accumulating cards, and then you have like a run that you do, and then when it's over, you start over, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
But you do have permanent unlocks. But this one, it's functioning like poker. And so then you have your normal poker hands, but then you end up buying these different jokers. And the jokers have different effects on the hands that you play.
Yeah.
So then you might find a joker that gives you a multiplier for every heart card that you play, or like every straight, hand that you play. And it's super fun, very addicting. And especially whenever I'm like feeding the new baby with one hand, I'll have him like this, feeding him, and I'll only have one hand accessible. So
You just gotta click the cards.
Yep, it makes it pretty good. But yeah, I was like going back and forth, just seeing how they were doing their UI and just the different things that hit the dopamine sensors with that game, and I was trying to like copy that
Or like,
with
or like
this
the
one.
psychology behind it.
Exactly,
Get people
yeah.
hooked into playing it.
And that's the type of stuff that I do enjoy with like game development, as far as like doing homework. You're like playing a game, and then you can kind of apply those things that you learn directly, and you don't have to like, it's every game rips off of other games.
Yeah,
so there's
like...
no shame in it in my game. I did the same thing with I don't know if you had seen Radio Silent, but
I can't remember if I saw that one. I played Dragon's Bane. I played that all the way through.
Oh, you beat it?
I don't know if I beat it. I ground it for a while.
It's awesome.
Grounded, whatever.
Did you get into the audio logs? Did you listen to the
Some of them? Yeah, I got a few of those. And I was like, "This is Jacob. This sounds just like Jacob."
Trying to be dark and
I forgot
mysterious.
I was playing your game for a while. Because after like a while, I was like, "Okay," I was playing, like kind of grinding through it. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is Jacob's game," because like it's him talking on the.
That's awesome. What like build did you go with? Was it a melee or like a
I think I did
magic?
I think I did a melee build.
Nice. That was a fan
I
favorite.
tried to do one of both, but yeah, honestly, like people in the reviews were like talking about the lore part, like that was like their favorite.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then you get the haters where like they just go to every indie game and just shit on it and like this game sucks and
I can
it was
totally.
$1.
Yeah, I do understand where some of the haters of that game were coming from, because I didn't abandon it, but I hadn't updated it in a while.
Yeah.
And I do plan on updating it though, because I did, I want to take pride in it, but there were some bugs that I just couldn't get around.
Yeah, there were a few I ran into. I'm like it was I forgot which one because it was like a couple of years ago when I played it. It was kind of game breaking. I was like, oh yep, there's a bug here.
Mm-hmm. And it's like it's not. The hard part, I mean, in your line of work, you know how difficult it is to try to troubleshoot a bug that is hard to recreate.
Oh yeah.
And so then that's what kept happening. It's like
it's even worse if like someone's telling you about it and you didn't find it, and they're like, oh, I mean, we see this like weekly, like, oh hey, this isn't working when I do this, and it's like I can't recreate it. It's not a bug.
Yeah, like how many variables were unique to that situation?
User error.
Yeah. Yeah, so then there's that, and then it's like, yeah, what's a legitimate bug? But then, yeah, it's like, what area of the game were you in? What items did you have on your person? What were you clicking at the time? It's like, oh my god. And like, I'm one person with a family and a normal job, so then I can't freaking like,
yeah.
And I did that one weekend, like the first weekend that it came out. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this. Dropped it, finally after like, I think I worked on it for 3 years, and then I put it out there. And then,
what's your testing like? It's probably gonna turn into a two-way interview.
It's all good.
What's your testing like? What's your like methodology of like testing like while you're? Because I know like Dragon's Bane, you kind of like that was like kind of your first thing where it's kind of just getting shit to run.
So for that one, I was trying to follow a lot of tutorials and mashing a lot of shit together that probably did not jive correctly, and that's what the result was: is bugs popping up in weird areas, right? But since then, currently, what I do is I try to just freaking create no kinks that I can't iron out immediately. So like if I implement something, I test it out and see what's going on, and then if it's good, it's good. I try not to leave stupid bullshit going on to figure out later down the line that's going to end up screwing me over or make it in, And so far, through the multiple games that I've done, it seems to be getting better to where I don't end up playing it
kind of
and
refining that process.
Yeah, and so then you're not winding up later down the line where somebody's reporting something too much. Like I'm not seeing too many game breaking bugs with radio silent at all, really. So that's been great.
I keep meaning to check that. I always forget I gotta check that one out because that one I hadn't played.
Yeah, we could hit that one up after this interview right here. Yeah,
see the source code for it too.
Yeah, for sure. You could grill me on that.
Oh, dude, we do the same shit. It's like now it's like ChatGPT. It's like, hey, how do I do this? And just copy pasta.
I'd try. I would
trouble massage it into something that works.
I would like to see how it would be to, dictate. Okay, build this code out, and then try and put it directly in there and see how it fares.
We had a guy, he was like big into ChatGPT and like kind of like taking advantage of like those kind of things. We had because we were like brainstorming for this other app we were like planning on working on, and we had one guy do it the traditional way, just like start hashing out like a basic proof of concept, and he did the same thing but with ChatGPT, and like he had like a lot of stuff he had to fix, but like he had like a working prototype in like 10 minutes.
Compared to what? Compared to how much time?
Yeah, it took him like 10-15 minutes. Like he did it like sitting right there.
But like compared to how long did it take to do it manually?
I mean, it was a very very basic bare bones thing, so it didn't take the other guy like that long either. But he was done fast. He was done a lot quicker. But there's a lot of stuff he had to fix because ChatGPT is not that great. Like there's a lot of stuff that's
right. It's like factored in to like okay.
It's factoring in the data that's trained on. It's also the bad examples. So you get a lot of that too, especially like anything doing math or physics or science or stuff like that. Like I wind up like having to fix stuff.
Yeah.
It's a nice little tool. But have you ever considered like automating some of your testing?
No, I haven't.
That can save you some time. I don't know how you do it, like Unity, or are you using Unity or using Unreal?
Using that old Unity, I don't even know how you'd go about automating some of that.
I don't know about like. You would automate you would set like your like beginning state of like you get your character, you get this much stats and whatever the world environment is. You kind of set that up, and you have like a desired end state, and you just automate the key inputs for trying like all these different things that you would normally do by hand. Like, oh, let me go click this, and try all these things. You can automate a lot of that, and as long as it matches like your desired end state, you're still gonna like run into stuff, but you catch a lot of like those kind of like crazy game breaking bugs like ahead of time. Automated testing, yeah, that
would probably help for balancing too, because if I could get like a stat,
it could be not just for finding bugs, but like just
because that's a big part of it too. That's difficult. It's like just trying to balance, like, okay, how long do you want this progression to take? How damage versus the monster's damage, and like scaling the levels and all that shit.
Some of that stuff you're probably gonna like still need to have like a human in the loop to do.
Yeah.
But like your automated stuff's gonna catch a lot of those game breaking things.
I have to investigate that for sure.
Or unit testing, like if you have like functions, you unit test just that function. You kind of like map out. You test your happy path, your sad path, bad inputs, malformed inputs to that function or whatever, and you have all your desired like test cases. That as long as it passes those, you should be mostly covered.
Yeah. So that sounds similar to whenever I, because the developer interacting with the app or the game that they've created, they know how to use it to where it's not going to break, right? But a user would try all kind of crazy shit,
completely
right?
outside. Yeah, it's a black box to them.
So then I had
you'll still have to do stuff like that. But
I with Dragon's Bane, I watched. Oh man, I can't remember his name right now because I've been doing a whole lot. I want to say it's Seth, but I know it's probably not Seth. He's probably going to grill me now. But one of my buddies streamed that game, and
really?
I watched him play it. He was like the first guy to like
break
stream
shit.
it and play it. Yeah, and he knew he was trying to find the exploits. And he freaking dragged the so I have a shop in that game, right?
Yeah.
You know, the shop. And you're supposed to click on it and all that
I was
stuff.
exploiting the shit out of that.
Yeah, and you can, there's drag and drop functionality, but because I didn't really know what the hell I was doing at the time, I left open the ability for somebody to drag item stacks from the shop into your inventory.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And I had
to fix it, or
I fixed it since then. But they had a potion in there that costed a lot. But if you would just drag and drop,
3-finger discount.
yeah, and it was a potion that would give you
5-finger
attribute points when you popped it, and the stack was a stack of 100. And every time you opened up the guy, he would give you another stack. So he had like stacks of these potions that basically made him God mode immediately. And that was hilarious just to see that shit happen.
Well, yeah, you have to send me the stream. I'd watch that. I like watching. There's like a guy on YouTube. I can't remember his name. I like playing a lot of old games, a lot of indie games, but also like the online games that are like defunct, but they're still up. There's a guy on YouTube. He goes through like all these different like old RPG, old MMOs, and like kind of explores, and it's
awesome.
like a time capsule almost. But I've seen some where like they do like the indie games and kind of like play test them, break them, and
yeah. I had another guy, whenever I was asking about your build, that's why I was wondering, because I had another guy that I was watching at my work that had a couple dudes that had a speedrunner group.
Oh, yeah, I haven't gotten into that.
So then they would all get together, pick a game, and try and see who beat it, and they snagged Dragon's Bane for that one. And I watched them as they were speedrunning it, right? And this one dude ended up speedrunning it several times, and I watched his like build tutorial on it eventually, which was super cool. It was like a Christmas morning moment to watch somebody, make a tutorial about your game.
Yeah.
But he had found an exploit that I didn't even realize, where if you were playing as like a mace class, right? So in this game, I made it to where, depending on the weapon you're using, you're gaining experience for the weapon that you're using, and you unlock skills for that particular weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So then the mace had a skill that was a buff, right? And it was supposed to be popped in combat, and then it had a certain duration that it would give you extra strength, and the strength attribute was tied to your damage and your health. And there was a limbo time period in there that I wasn't aware of. That was like half a second, where if you just kept spamming that shit, it would buff up your...
Was it like a race condition where like normally wouldn't let you do that, but if you do it fast enough, it kind of like doesn't catch?
Probably so, yeah. And so I didn't realize that I didn't have any kind of like catching in there. And then he spammed it. It increased his strength by like, however many clicks he was able to manage to get in there. And then at the end of the duration, it only subtracted the initial amount. So it left him permanently with this like huge amount. And he would do that every time in these small battles. And eventually he had like thousands of health, it's not 1,000 HP, super high damage, and he was just one-shotting bosses. And that's his strategy for going. And he was just blasting through these bosses. It was
pretty hard. I remember having to grind. Like I go in the woods and get ganked.
Yeah.
Like no, let me go grind a little bit and level up. And
how did you enjoy the nemesis system? Did you dig into that very much?
You have to remind me what that was.
Whenever you like beat monsters in a certain area, and it would like level up that area.
Oh yeah.
And then you'd all of a sudden start having hard ass.
That was
bosses.
a surprise. I didn't think that was in there, and then I found out.
It's like, why is this world boss popping up in this low-level area?
Yeah, it was always like in that initial little area, like right outside like the store and all that. I'm like, man, these guys are like, he's leveling up all these bosses here. And then you like go past that, and you're like, oh, this is like Care Bear again.
So that's the a lot of what I try to do for like design concepts is stuff like that, because I'm like one person, right?
Yeah.
So the more that I can reuse things, the better. And so for that, I was reusing the same areas, but making it to where it was like a dynamic situation for each player so they could have like an individual experience, right? So if you wanted to grind up this area in particular, you're going to have a different experience than the guy that grinded up this other area. And different world bosses would drop different shit.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of unique to that. And that's what I was trying to do with this current, like, I'm going to obviously finish Radio Silent. I've got, just about that wrapped up with this new roguelike deck builder that I've been working on. It's going to be similar to that, to where you have like these areas that you're going in, and that's the whole premise of the roguelike thing, is that you're reusing these areas, a whole lot, so that you don't have to build out all these crazy maps and do all these different like things. You can, have the player keep on grinding these areas, but you unlock those cards permanently and add them to your deck. And I'm really trying to like have the RPG part of it as like a big part of it, to where it's going to be like, similar to Slay the Spire, right? Have you ever heard that one?
No, but I've heard of it, but I haven't really played it.
That was fantastic if you're looking for an entry point into roguelike deck builders. But yeah, it's gonna be similar to that, where you're unlocking cards as you progress. But I wanted it to have the RPG feel, so you're gonna have like experience and gold and stuff, and that's gonna, you'll be able to like level up your character to do different things. But also there's like a town element, to where you're like kind of building up a town with the gold that you get, and that's gonna be where you're like unlocking cards and different stuff like that, progressing the story in that way. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's all driven off of this dream that I had.
Yeah.
Whenever I was at the beach with my family a couple months ago, and yeah, it never faded. I just like have the solid image that I want to make. Yep. I want to put it out there and have people play through it.
That was I was working on a game in high school. Like it was like a first person shooter, kind of like it came about in a dream.
Yeah,
like
that's
a space
awesome.
Sci-fi shooter, kind of like Halo knockoff. Yeah, like I wrote a story about it for like Miss Godshaw's like English class. Like I would just like write like shitty sci-fi. That was like I was testing the waters with that in her class.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I started. That's when I was getting to like the direct 3D, like that kind of stuff, like in high school. Because I was like, I had this like dream about this like FPS game that I was like in the dream. I was like in the game in the dream. It wasn't a game in the dream, but like it's based off of that dream. Yeah, that's what that was always like. That's like the big project. That's like always on the horizon. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like put some reps towards this and like redo some of this. And I was like 20 years ago, man. Like,
did you had started actually like writing the?
I wrote like the basic engine because we didn't have like Unity, we didn't have Unreal, we didn't have any of that stuff. This was like
the entry point was rough back
like
in the day.
Start like making the renderer like starts out with a blue screen. And then you start trying to put models into it, like importing them by like writing the loader, writing the importer.
It's basically have to build the engine before you can even like start building the game.
Yeah, I mean they had engines at the time. I kind of dabbled with some like a few years later, like some of the 3D engines like Ogre and Irrelict, and they had a few big ones. XNA, I don't know if you heard of XNA. That was like big, like early 2000s. Like it was like Microsoft. It was kind of partially a game framework. Like you had like the graphics part. They incorporated like some of the tech they were playing with, like X audio. It was like integrated with like 360, so you could publish to 360, the Xbox Marketplace. This was like the first time you could do that, like back then. Yeah, and it was like a lot easier to like kind of like prototype games back then. It was in C, and it was like based off like .NET, Direct 3D 9.
Nice.
At the time, so I had a few like simple like little games with that.
That was like Newgrounds era.
That time frame, yeah. It was like 2006, 2007. That was the part I found the most interesting, was like doing like the engine development, doing the prototypes and the tech demos, and just showing off like this one feature. Not so much like I didn't really like doing the whole game and
yeah, because it's like the complete picture is hard to put it all together and make it like cohesive. Yeah, that is difficult. It's all them dogs. Sounds like fucking crazy out
Singing
there.
the sound of the people.
It's a maelstrom of dogs and kids going ham
One dog
out there.
starts barking. The other dog's like, "Fuck you! You're a dog. I'm gonna bark at you too."
We got like a room that has we just had puppies too, so we have
wow.
a total of like 11 dogs in here right now.
Oh wow!
Even-
I didn't hear him walking in.
Yeah, that dog that's barking right now is the mom, and we got her in Sam's room. But the dogs are only about this big currently. But Great Pyrenees puppies, they'll be big soon enough. Yeah, that's cool, man. So, where are you looking to go with your current endeavors? Are you doing any kind of like things that you want to know people or have people know about?
Oh, not at the moment. I got like we were talking earlier. I'm probably starting a little vlog sometime next year.
Nice.
Because it's about what every mid to senior level software engineer does at some point. Like if you go on YouTube, like software engineering blogs, it's like the same thing over and over. It's like it's got the canned kind of snazzy music, and it's them waking up and making coffee in their $500 espresso machines, and this is a day in the life of a software engineer. And then they go to like their work, and they don't show anything at work. They don't talk about software engineering at all. It's just like them just like going to the gym and like making coffee. I think it's what like everybody's got to do at some point.
Oh, that's great. Well, I can't wait to see it. I'll definitely help promote it once it comes out. Well, cool, man. We'll wrap it up right here. You got any final words you want to let the people know?
No, just stay in milk. Don't do school. Drink your drugs. Throw your used car batteries in the ocean. Safe and legal.
Don't get hooked on phonics. Peace out, peeps.